Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of Respect the Goats. We're calling this one Respect the Vote. Matter of fact, respect your vote. I am CEO P, Gray's debater. On the left of me, on the right of you, is favorite cousin for the Bare Nigga True podcast and Bare Nigga True TV. And
don't forget my other name.
Interview
cousin. King, bro.
All right, favorite cousin and the Interview King.
Yeah.
And some arenas that I'm not aware of. And we have...
You know what's up.
Yeah.
You know what's up.
And we have our politic analyst, our expert. He's going to come here and simplify some things. Arrington Gavin from the Arrington Gavin Show.
Good,
thank you for joining us today.
Man, it's always great to be here with your fam.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we're going to jump right in. The purpose of us doing this is because a lot of people with this upcoming election, 2025, local elections, all around United States, I don't think they understand why to vote. Like the presidential election, they get debates and they get commercials and they talk to you. The news is talking about each candidate. Local, not so much.
So basically what you're saying in layman's terms is,
yes, sir.
Why should I care about who's running for this position in the government, the local government? Like, why should I even care and go vote for them?
November 4th, why should I go vote?
Yeah,
right.
How does that affect me?
Absolutely.
Well, the crazy thing is, though, people are still asking that question on a national level, right? They're asking it not just local, they're asking on a state level, they're asking on a federal level. Voters are always going to be asking, why should I vote, or why even waste my time, waste my gas, and wait in a line for hours if they go on the same day? But why should I wait for hours to vote? Right. Because the thing is, for so long, and I speak a lot about on my program, voters have always been told one thing. They've always been promised one thing, and those promises are never met. Because see, during election time, it's not a lie to say that there's politicians that promote themselves. They'll say this and do all these things. They'll kiss the babies and take the pictures, make it look good. But it's like once they're in office, sometimes they might have a difference of opinion. They might totally change what they do, and they might not even meet up to what they said that they were going to do. Right? On a federal level, you got certain terms that they might have to serve 4 years. They have some that might have to serve 2 years, and it's just like. You're saying a lot of promises, and that's why you really have to be aware, especially as a politician. You have to be careful on promising rather than saying, okay, look, this is what I'm going to push for, do this is what I'm going to push to do this and X, Y, and Z. So I think folks are still going to be asking those questions until we 100 years old. Like, why should I vote for you? Why should you vote for you?
Well, let's simplify it. Let's start there. What is the difference between the federal level?
Okay, so
our president, and his office. Delegates, and between a local level, we're here in the Virginia area, so our governor, our cities and state.
I'm so glad you asked that, because really the most important thing is to know what's happening in your backyard, right? Obviously, you want to hear what's happening that's closer to you. We all can continue to see what's on a national level through the lens of our television screens, right? You got your mainstream media, you got your CNNs, your MSNBCs, your Fox News, your News Nations, your cable, your national cable that talks mostly on federal level. So in the federal level, you got your president, right? Then under the president, you have your VP, and then there's multiple positions within their administration. But at the end of the day, most power comes from Congress, U.S. Congress, and the U.S. Senate. Now, don't get me quoting how many people it is, but it's a lot of members, right? In the state of Virginia alone, we have you have about like four individuals in Congress. You got Bobby Scott, you got Jennifer McClellan, and she's more up north. You got I'm blanking on his name, but there's another gentleman. Then there's Jen Kiggins.
Congress does what?
So Congress, they all pass bills. Now, as far as to say who has more power, I want to say Congress usually is above U.S. senators, and I could be wrong, but both of them really have the power. So they'll do votes on, okay, let this bill pass. If it gets approved, it moves on to the Senate. If it gets approved, it moves to Congress. And then if it gets approved, the president will sign on and all this other stuff. But really, the presidential role doesn't have more power than Congress, because even if he comes with something, you got to vote. You have to have the majority of Congress to vote on it, or the same likewise in the U.S. Senate, because they have members in the representing the Democratic Party, you got members representing the Republican Party, and you got a small handful of individuals that consider themselves independents. So you might have independents that will lean towards one side or the other to say, okay, look, if you got to get this majority vote, but all the power really comes in Congress. I'll just make it long story short.
So with Congress, the members of Congress come from our states and cities.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Yeah, they're selected from each states. And like I said, we have Congressman Bobby Scott, Jen Kiggins, McClellan, and then like I said, I'm blanking. It's another gentleman. I'm blanking on his name. I'll try and figure out once we get into the conversation. But we have our selected representatives. Just like in Senate, we have our representatives. We have two U.S. senators. You got Mark Warner and you got Tim Kaine. So,
got it. Yes.
Mark Warner is kind of like the senior U.S. senator, and then kind of like the junior senator is Tim Kaine. So we have those in office now. When you get to the state level, but still, the governors are somewhat of a federal. I mean, because they have a lot of power. They lead the full state. So,
break this down. We there now.
Congress and senators, are those the lifetime positions? Or are they voted every so often?
They are voted. No, they are voted. That's a great question. They are voted every year. Now, in Supreme Court's a lifetime position. So you see, I want to say there's maybe 8, and I should have the notes. I should have the notes prepared on me, but I want to say there's about 8 members of the Supreme Court in the U.S. Supreme Court, but those Supreme Court positions are year round. Which to me, I'll be honest, I speak a lot about on my program. I'm a fan of term limits. I actually had the conversation with Mayor Philip Jones out of Newport News. Great dude. He said he agreed with me. He said the same things, and you rarely hear a lot of. That's why I really respect him. Because you rarely hear a lot of politicians speak on term limits. Yeah. Because there should no way in hell be a person that's 89 years old serving office. And I'm trying to be ageist, but I'm just saying, if you've been here 13 terms, when are you going to, move aside and at least prepare for the next, dinner? Because really, you
can't even drive at 89 in most cases.
Listen. I mean, and there's some that are older. There's
9 members of the Supreme Court.
9 members. I appreciate it. Yeah, gotcha. There's individuals in Supreme Court that died in Supreme, for that year position. And going back to like Congress or in U.S. Senate, same thing. People that have been voted in. And don't get me wrong. It's like, hey, look, they want to run again. People voted them in. They win the vote. I mean, how can you debate it? But they do have the right to say, well, look, I've been in here for 3 terms. I don't have to seek re-election. And that's when a lot of the rumors will have, okay, it's abuse of power in this case, right? Like, why are you staying in this power position? Because Congress, Senate, they have access to everything that comes into the U.S. Oh, they have access to anything like that. And I'm not saying that's all of them, but that's some. And we have heard stories of, political corruption and things in that nature. So really, I just want to put out, I'm fans of term limits. Gotcha. 2 to 3 max is good because, again, in Congress, I mean, every 4 years. Every 4 years.
Yeah. Three terms, man. You basically.
Man, I talked about a story. I talked about a story on the show. It's a lady in D.C. Who is 88 years old. She wants to seek another term. Come on now. I don't want my grandmother, working past 80 or past 75. But it's like. Yeah.
I'm gonna say if it's every 4 years, man, I think 5 should be a max.
You see what it did to Obama when he first went in? That hair turned into salt quick. Wow. So just imagine if I'm just saying. Wow. And now he got the black back. He enjoying life right there. He chilling.
So look, fellas, let's get to this local level and simplify this for the people, right? Okay. So when I researched, it's 3 positions that I know is. I'm asking. Is that the state level? So attorney general. So that's state.
So you have the attorney general, you have the lieutenant governor, and you have the governor.
What's the difference?
Now they have a huge role. Like, I mean, it's a state level, but that's like the highest state position again because they represent the state. Right. But the governor has the power. I mean, I guess you could just put it in perspective. Like, the governor is our state president.
Got it. Okay.
He's our state president.
Got it.
The lieutenant governor.
Now it's going to be she after.
Well, she. It's going to be a she.
It's some respect on her name.
It's 2 women running, so ain't gonna be no he after this year.
It's going to be a she. Then you have the lieutenant governor.
And what does the lieutenant governor do?
Lieutenant governor, I mean, they have the second. They're just second in command. I mean, similar to the vice presidential role. Vice presidential role really doesn't have as much
power as the president.
Yes,
right.
I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, again, they get a saying. They do a lot of probably, as far as VPs they were doing a lot of traveling, this and that, making sure, we have good relationships with our allies and things of that nature.
Quick question. Something happens with the governor. Does the lieutenant governor fit?
Yes, absolutely.
I got you. Absolutely. So are they like running mates?
So in this case,
how does that work?
So in this case, yes. Now I want to say in the state of Virginia, there could be a possibility of like say a governor that's a nominee from the Republican Party. If they win with votes, then
the lieutenant governor that's a Democrat.
That could be possible. That could happen. And for those that kind of want to do some more research on it, there's a TV show on Netflix called, I want to say it's either Miss Governor. Yes.
Miss Governor, yeah.
And it actually got renamed really quick.
Yeah,
it was called Shoot the People, then they lost in a lawsuit. And so now it's Miss Governor. And in that show, it does break it down.
And she filled the position because something happened with her.
Yep, and
that's interesting.
And she was also from a different party too. She won that lieutenant governor's race, and the guy that won governor's race, they're from two opposite.
So parties. That's interesting because when it's a presidential race, the president and vice president are joined at the hip. They're a team. They're on the same party. Mm-hmm. But you're saying with the governor and the lieutenant governor, those are two different positions you get to vote for, right?
That's why you see they call it when they on the campaign trail. You see a lot of all the top three position candidates. They're working with each other, going on trails together, so everybody sees them as a unit because you got 3 candidates from the Democratic side, you got 3 candidates from the Republican side. All of them are campaigning together. So
I want you to vote this person from this party.
Exactly. So like on the Republican side, you got current Lieutenant Governor in the state of Virginia, Winsome Earl Sears. Her lieutenant governor nominee is a man by the name of John Reed. He's a conservative talk radio host out of Richmond. And then under the attorney general race, you have the current attorney general Jason Myers, who's also a part of that trio.
Got it.
And on the Democratic side, you got Abigail Spanberger, who's a former congresswoman in Virginia. Mm-hmm. And then you have Hashmeen. I'm blanking on her name, but she's a state senator out of Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Who
That's
is
Lieutenant
Governor.
Okay.
And then Attorney General, you have Jay Jones. Jay Jones is from the Hampton Roads areas because he used to be a state delegate. Father was also a former state delegate, and then his dad was also former judge. So he comes from a family of public service. But
Attorney General, what is that? What is that though?
So Attorney General, I want to.
Are they some kind of lawyer or something?
They are an attorney. Yeah, they are an attorney. So major cases that concerns the state on the state level comes from his office, because like each city in Hampton Roads, we have what they call a Commonwealth attorney. Now, a Commonwealth attorney. That's
I've seen that too.
I'm kind of moving ahead on the local stuff.
Okay.
I'll come back to Commonwealth, but I'll just say, for example, Commonwealth attorney is similar to a DA, a district attorney, like out in New York City. It's just on a small level. But if y'all don't mind, if I pull up.
So in review, y'all, we got a governor, which is like the president. The governor is the governor of your state, right? Mm-hmm. Then a lieutenant governor is the second in command of that governor, and then we got the attorney general, right? Okay, we got the attorney general deals with some laws.
I want to pull up just the job of the attorney general. So it says here, chief legal officer of a government, whether the state or national level. Main responsibilities they have: provide legal advice to the government. Or to the governor or state agencies. So again, and then issues formal legal opinions and important questions for law. Head of law enforcement. So he oversees state or national law enforcement agencies for the state of Virginia. So that's again another job of the attorney general. And at the end of the day, I mean, attorneys always have more power because that's involved the law. So at the end of the day, they're going to have a very, very, very important position on that level. Then we're going down, still on the state level. Going down, we have state senators, we have state delegates, and again, smaller scale of what we see on the federal level. So just like how you have the president, vice president, secretary of state, you have your governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. Then you go ahead and move down to your small version of the U.S. The Senate and the Congress. So like our Congress is the state house delegates, the state house.
What do they do, man?
State house.
What is this House of Delegates? So it's 100 seats open.
I know.
What's going on?
How I know which 100 I'm supposed to vote for?
So I'm gonna tell you exactly what the jobs for state delegates are. So state delegates. Let's see. Okay. Says here now. I'm using one of my good sources, ChatGPT. But I would say you can
AI.
also AI.
Shout out to AI.
Yeah.
But state delegates, a member of state legislators, similar to state representative, who helps make and pass state laws. So again, they have just as much power for state senator and state delegates. They work together to pass laws within their significant districts. So like state delegates, they represent parts of local cities. So for example, we have races that are like, okay, District 89, District 90, District 92.
So man, Cash Green is
a councilman. So he represents District 7 of Virginia Beach. So his is just like, parts of Virginia Beach.
So councilmen and delegates are different too.
They're different. So
there's a lot of jobs out here.
That's what I'm saying.
So basically, what he at now is still on state level. He ain't got to local yet.
That's what I'm saying. And state
and they want y'all to understand this. That's why we here.
But the good thing is, y'all, you have the opportunity to learn about the whole entire shebang, but most important, know about your specific area, because your local city might just have 2 delegates, right? Y'all might just have 1 or 2 state senators or 3 state, something like that. So it's in the state of Chesapeake alone. I'll say we have, I know for sure, I'm just off the top of the dome, I think we have like 3 or 4 delegates, but they all represent parts of Chesapeake. They don't represent all. One delegate might represent some parts of Norfolk, parts of Suffolk, parts of North. It's weird how the district map goes.
Let's go to the local level.
I'll go down to the local level.
All right, so look, I live in Norfolk, right?
Okay.
There we go. Come on.
I need to know what I need to do to get these grocery prices down. Let's start there. Who I'm voting for to get the grocery right and to make sure they don't keep raising the local taxes and turn my home pass up.
So definitely get in contact with your local council. Definitely get in contact with and your local cities. You have your mayors, and then you have your council members. Now some cities might have a full council staff of 11 people, including their mayor. Some might have 9. Some might have 8. It all varies.
Who does the mayor work for?
The mayor works for the people. Just like all of these politicians we've been.
Who does he answer to though?
He answers to his council. Well, he answers to people as well too, but the mayor, I will say this, the mayor doesn't have the majority of the power over his council, because at the end of the day, it's a council.
Got it. Now, so it's kind of like Congress.
Because everybody.
So the mayor is kind of like a presidential city joint, and he proposes stuff to the delegates?
Like a chairman of a board.
Got it, okay.
Like a chairman of a board.
Chairman
of
the
the
speaker. He don't need to make all the decisions for us.
Now, and folks think he still is like you said, the speaker. He still is like the leader of the team, but he can pass on something, and then like a member of council might disagree and say, "Well, I'm not going to vote on that X, Y, and Z."
It's a voting thing.
It's always going to be a voting thing.
Okay.
Now, some cities. Now we have 7 cities in Hampton Roads. 3 out of the 7 cities are still at large. So what I mean by at large is the mayor, when he runs for the full city. So everybody in the city has to vote on the mayor. Likewise, your council members have to run for the whole city. Now, if it's not at large, so compare, you live in Norfolk. Norfolk has a ward system. So you got members of council that say, I represent Ward 3, Ward D, and then you have 2 super wards, right? So 2 super wards, they just have a larger scale of real estate that they are in charge of making sure X, Y, and Z is going good. The having those basically those single member voting districts is great, because now, and if you find out, you can go online to your local city government to find out exactly
where do you go?
You can go to if you Google Virginia districts, and well, for one, I want to get you the website too to for one vote, and that website is elections. I got it right here. Let me make sure, because I don't want to lie to y'all. It is elections is elections.virginia.gov/registration. And you can also just go to elections.virginia.gov, and you can find all of that information too in regards to your districts. Now you can go to your if Norfolk might have a local well, they might have a local website, and you can just type in the city of Norfolk online, and then it will have really the first tab should be your website. So it might be like norfolk.gov or chesapeake.gov. And you can find out all your elected members that serve on a local level, and it also will show which districts they represent. I was talking about, single member voting. Single member voting is important because you know exactly who you can get in contact with, rather than trying to do I go to this one? No, that is my representative for this area. If I see if grocery prices or if it's a pothole or something, you go to them. And
that's a councilman or a delegate?
Councilman.
So the councilman is if there is an issue in your part of the city that you need to reach out to. That's your spokesperson for that.
Yes, and then if it's a position that might be higher than that council member, then they'll start talking to on a state level, because a state level they can say, well, look, this might be an issue that occurs in majority of the Hampton Roads. Let's talk about it, and we might pass a new bill or new law, things in that nature.
But
it's up to your
we learn it.
It's up to your council members.
Your prospective states and cities and all that too.
Absolutely, it's up to your council members to stay involved with the community, meaning have regular, maybe once a week or once every couple weeks, town hall meetings open to the community, because they should, because they have to stay in connection with the community. Got to keep the community up to speed on what exactly they're doing. Why do we vote you in? What's your position? And then under council you have your sheriff, you have your.
Well, no, that's where we're going. That's where we're going. Stay right there. Stay right there. That we need to go there, because a lot of these are on the ballot, right? So I'm gonna shoot a position your way, and you kind of explain on a local level what they do.
Okay. Hit them first. Chief of Police.
There we go.
Okay.
Because that's the main one we always have, man.
The chief of police is in charge to they make sure the community is safe by all means. So they're the head honcho in your local police department. Policing is the ones that stop you if you're speeding. If you rob something, you call the police. Any kind of issue that happens outside of the courts and you call the police. You don't call the sheriff. So if you speeding and you
so what's the sheriff then?
So the sheriff is in charge.
Who got more power, chief of police or the sheriff? I see the sheriff on the TV. Who is the chief of police guy? I don't see him on TV. He's not on Law and Order. So no disrespect. I respect. Chief of police, we respect you, but
the sheriff department. The sheriff departments are the ones that are securing the court. So if you ever realize when you watch Law and Order and somebody's in court and they have the judge and they say bailiff, you don't see a police officer. You always see a sheriff that's standing about that. You always see a sheriff.
He locks you up.
Yes.
You want to put that little tank on your door. Hey, you ain't paid your rent.
The sheriff department.
So the sheriff department is linked with the courts, not with the police.
No, law enforcement is always going to be law enforcement, but like sheriff department, they also are in charge of a lot of jails too. So police. Okay. It's interesting, and I wouldn't even say one has a higher position than the other. It's just one is an appointed position. The police chief is a appointed position. The sheriff is an elected position. Now, in the pattern that has been happening on some of the local cities is your current sheriff, when he retires, he might appoint under sheriff, somebody that's his second in command. He might appoint him, but it is up to the whoever's holding that position to run re-elections to hold on that position, because you can always vote them out. And honestly, sheriffs, you rarely see a lot of police officers pursue sheriff, because honestly, I could run for sheriff if I wanted to, and I have no law enforcement background, but I could run for sheriff. If that makes sense. And
it's a little sheriff vibe. You could be a sheriff. I'll see it.
Yeah.
I see it, guys.
With the bag.
You got the beard
Take
and
the hat
everything.
off in the courtroom, sir. There you go.
Show some respect.
Yeah, there you go.
But
Spit your gum out.
also,
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna throw a plug in on the show. I'm gonna throw a plug in on the show because I had the opportunity to interview two guys that are running for sheriff. So out in the city of Chesapeake, I had on current sheriff of Chesapeake, Dave Rosado. He's running running for re-election.
Okay.
Then I interviewed his opponent
in this election coming up.
Yes, in this election coming
November
up.
4th.
And then I interviewed his opponent, a Republican candidate, Wallace Chadwick.
Oh, so we can see these two and figure out which one we want to do on the Erickson Gatlin
At least
show.
for the city of Chesapeake, absolutely.
Erickson Gatlin.
And they all explain the position very thoroughly, because I want to keep on kind of flicking through some notes. But they share their the opinion on not the opinion, but they share their knowledge on the position and why I hold that role in X, Y, and Z. And so and it's really interesting. That's what you get on the Erickson Gatlin show. I get to interview all elected officials when it comes to, and especially on a local level. So you mentioned the sheriff, so we talk about the sheriffs.
What about Commonwealth attorneys?
Commonwealth attorneys,
What do
like
they do?
so they're like remember when Trump was in the courts a long time? I mean, not a long time, but he was always going in and out of court during when Biden was in office, and there was always a lady or gentleman who was the district attorney, which is like the head powerful. Here we have a Commonwealth attorney, so that's just the same as the same
on
as
the local
VA.
level.
They have maybe like offices of maybe 72 different attorneys in there. They focus on issues that happen in their selected city. So when it comes to fighting for criminal justice reform, you name it, they have a lot of power. And that's another thing. I had interviews. I had the opportunity to interview. Oh gosh, I had Raheem Fadahi, who's the Commonwealth attorney for the city of Norfolk. Mm-hmm. He's a good friend too. I had on Matt Hamill, who's the Commonwealth attorney for the city of Chesapeake. He's running for re-election. And then I had on his opponent, David Mick, Republican candidate. Now, and I'd like to say, I'm saying what party they represent because I'm a big advocate of. I mean, I'm an independent. I'll just break it down. I'm an independent. I'm not married to any party, but I respect having folks from all sides of the aisle, because we can't be involved, and I say us as in black people, we can't be involved in understanding what goes on in just one. We should never be boxed in. We need to always hear from both sides. So I had his opponent, David Mick, who's he's a former assistant attorney general, so he was working under the Jason Myers, and they all explain exactly their positions and why why it's important for the Commonwealth attorney, and then.
I got two more. So
I
got two more positions.
For the sheriff. Hold
two
on,
more.
real quick.
Oh, you got more for the sheriff?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
here we go.
Break it down. When you say running for sheriff, do you mean like the head of the sheriffs, or because there's
they're the boss in the sheriff. Okay. So you have the sheriff's office.
Who's the ones we see like when you go into the courthouse? You see a whole bunch of them. They're members of the sheriff's office. So you can still call them sheriff or something like that, but they're not the head sheriff. They're not the sheriff. They're not because I still call them that too, and they can actually they can explain and say no. You might just call me either officer or
but they're part of the sheriff's office.
Yes, so you have the sheriff's office. Well, they're not the sheriff. The sheriff is not standing by there, so that's just a member.
He has a pending case, so he really got to know. He got to get all this right. I'm playing.
I gotta go. I had somebody calling my name. I gotta take a phone call.
I've been legal for 17 months. All right, now
that man said 17 months. That's still fresh.
And that's what too that a lot of us have questions about, because sometimes we see the sheriff out riding. Mm-hmm. And we want to try to abide by the speed limit, but we be like, "Yo, can he give us a ticket?"
He cannot. And I'm the same way.
That don't mean just speed past him, but just I'm not telling you to speed past him.
Don't disrespect his truck,
but I'm just saying
they make sure the jails and the court is secured, and then the officers are making sure the community is safe. Gotcha. But at the end of the day, the sheriffs also are making sure the sheriffs are safe. That the community is safe as well, because in a lot of elementary schools, you might see sheriff officers that are there securing, working as security.
I don't know.
As well as when you go to the high school level, you might see police officers at securing most high schools. But I look at it as like, hey, they're all on the same side to keeping the community safe at the end of the day. But again, the sheriff the head sheriff position is elected. You have to vote on a sheriff, but police chiefs are appointed.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got 2 more, and then we're gonna figure out how these laws do, and we're gonna get out of here because we got slow attention span.
Oh, it's all good.
You know what I'm saying? We got a bunch of cousins watching us.
Yeah.
So the treasurer, what's the treasurer? Of course. Well, he's. I mean, never mind. Go ahead.
I know, right?
In the middle. So
all right. Treasurer.
What's the treasurer? So the city
city treasurer. Yes.
Yeah.
Sir.
So the city treasurer, they are. How can I put it? They work in unison with the commissioner of revenue, and it's all it is just about the budgets.
Now it's both of them too, because they're both elected positions, though, correct?
They are.
So we got the treasurer and a commissioner of revenue.
Yeah.
Who does what?
So commissioner of revenue is almost kind of like in the name. So commissioner is always going to be kind of like a high power position. So again, in charge of the budgets. X, Y, and Z.
I'm the commissioner of Goat vs. TV.
City treasurer.
No, go ahead.
Is always they are.
Relax, treasurer.
My bad, go ahead.
You see how we're in the red, treasurer?
That is hilarious. No,
it's your fault.
Probably.
Hold on, I'm also gonna pull up an accurate definition just to make sure I'm not blanking on anything. So now it's a public official responsibility for managing city's finances. So again, they're managing the city's finances when it comes to taxes, all that good stuff. Acting as a custodian for municipal funds. So municipal funds is municipal centers, courts, jails, all that good stuff. Overseeing cash flow, managing investments, and ensuring financial records are kept accurate and reported transfer. So, again, if you don't pay your taxes, you're probably gonna get hit from city treasurer. You're probably gonna hear from city treasurer. But
and each city has a city treasurer.
Yes, and
each city has a city manager too, right?
Absolutely. Well, yes, you do have a city manager, but city managers are not elected positions.
They're hired by the city. They're hired.
And really,
but they work with the treasurer. And
they do, and that's one thing I want to put too. Like the city treasurer role is a full-time job. So likewise, the commissioner of revenue. So, what I mean by that is, city council is probably making, your local city council members are probably making like $22,000 a year just off being in that city council role.
Wow.
Like not lying at all. Your mayor some mayors might make 45, some mayors might make 64,000 a year. It's really a somewhat a part. It might be looked upon as a part-time position. But here's the thing. In Congress and in Senate, they're making 6 figures, but they might make $125,000 for a U.S. Congress member.
Yeah,
or
that's more like it.
I see why they got to do so many terms.
But you know what though? That's when sometimes it can be looked upon as sketchy when you see. I'm gonna just say, for example, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen local races, whether it's a mayor's race or a city council race, the money that they've raised for their campaign is almost $500,000. So here's the thing. You raising almost $1 million for a position that you're getting paid $25,000 a year. That's when the
corruption.
Because here's it.
We only gonna put 110.
Yo, I'm not. No. I'm not talking to you.
Because they're gonna put 110,000.
Because they're like, wait, where did I get all this money from? Is it some favors that have been?
That makes sense.
And that's what. And you see that on. That's why you see.
Don't worry about why I got a new Escalade.
That's crazy.
You see that in Congress. You see that in Senate. That's stories of people taking bribes. It's the reason why, and I take jabs at both sides, but for example, the Republican Party always going to support the NRA. The NRA is one of their highest donors. And so, in NRA, National Rifle Association, so you guns, all that good stuff. And look, I'm all about protecting the household. I'm all about it. But they will do anything they can to always be in favor of anything gun-related, regardless of the situation, because they...
All right, Arrington, don't go too deep.
We
don't want to tell them what to do.
I'm sorry.
We don't want to tell them which way to go.
That's what
y'all get to that. This supposed to be informative.
I'm sorry.
So before we get out of here, because we want to encourage people to get out there and vote, we're going to go back to Cousin's questions. Now, Cousin, you had a question about basically laws, right?
Yes.
So he was asking about laws. So who comes together and how do they decide on the city laws? Like how do these people really affect our lives in our local city? Well, that's what they need to know.
At the end of the day, I'll break it down like this: your vote. Residents have to realize they have the power. Vote is your power. I understand when we have protests, and don't get me wrong, sometimes those actions can speak louder than words, but voting is the best power that you can possibly have, because at the end of the day, if you have an issue with your elected official, then vote their tails out. Like you can't continue to.
But what issue would I have? That's what I think they don't understand. You understand the people watching us look at Big T. That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's all they see. Trump
That's it. Hey, man, gas up. Big T.
But here's the thing.
Hey, gas down. Big T.
But I say,
stimulus check. Big T.
But I'll say this though. What happens on the federal level trickles down on the state level, which eventually trickles down on the local level. Your local elected official is going to follow what's in their superior. So look at it like this. If I'm a employee for Amazon, if I'm a delivery guy from Amazon, okay, then I'm going to follow what my manager tells me, but the manager got a boss, and the manager's boss probably got a boss, and that's going to go all the way to Bezos. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's always going to be a trickle effect. So, for example, we had a government shutdown that's still currently going on right now.
Yes, it is.
Hampton Roads is majority federal workers, so obviously, it's affecting it. When it comes
now, I got another question before you go too deep, because they're just coming to my head. I'm trying to solve y'all questions. The governor does not work for the president, though, correct?
How can I put it?
Cut. Because explain this.
Well,
what we also see is states. We're seeing it live, probably for the first time in years, where a state has pushback on what the government's telling.
Well, because and then that pushback, because sometimes the administration in the White House right now could sue and that whole case could be going on in the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. So if
where's the state's power though? Like what? The
Supreme Court definitely has probably the most power, because again that's the highest court in the land. Right. You can't pass any, especially if a state sues. Now there have been states that have fought back, like for example the state of Maryland. I know Wes Moore, he's fought back on some things with the president, and other states have. Even some local cities have even said, but it's complicated, because the fight can be one thing, and they can continue to stretch it until the president's term is over, because the president's term is only 4 years.
So if the president makes a law, just to simplify it for him, if he makes a law, does the state have to follow it, or can the state say where? The only reason why I'm asking you because there's a lot of just simplify it for you guys. There's a lot of federal money that fund a lot of state stuff.
And I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said
that. They work in partnership with the funding.
I'm glad you said that.
So there is certain programs that the state could say, all right, well, we don't want the program. So you don't even have to give us the money.
And I'm glad you,
because that's what the shutdown fight allegedly is over,
but you basically
the cost of medical.
You basically answered the question, because you can put up a fight, but you got to be willing to know how the consequences will be.
You're not going to get the funding.
You might not get the funding for it, because I'm just saying you just might. He can the federal government. Trump is the administration has a lot of power over that federal government. Also, I want to say I think the Republican Party has a majority House of Congress and the Senate, which again has a lot of power as well. So if the Republicans side with and they vote on that, most likely it's going to have to happen. It's unfortunate, because you're seeing a lot of effects of lack of funding, because we see that going on in our HBCUs. You see it with a lot of grants and funding. You see federal workers, the whole 9 yards. And that's why I always go back to, man, y'all vote. Y'all have to get out there and vote, because elections has consequences. We're witnessing it right now. So again, we're witnessing it right now. Set aside whoever you like or dislike. I understand both parties need assistance. They need help, and it's hard for the Democratic Party to really earn trust of the people, because it's like, a lot of folks feel like the Democratic Party didn't have fully good options. They, not everybody was fond of Kamala Harris, so they would say, "Could we have like a small primary?" But it didn't happen. At the end of the day, it was you had your options. The voters spoke. A lot of people did not get out and vote. I mean, there was a low voting turnout, which is always a shame because that affects elections. But yeah, you can states they can put up fights. Okay. But it's tough.
Where's the law? So on the city level, where is the laws decided at? On
a city level, it's involved in the city. Now,
because each city get to decide on their taxes and stuff, right?
Yes,
that's a city thing.
That's
right?
a city thing. But now, if anything is a bit higher than that, then they have to go on the state level.
What would be an example of some higher?
So,
isn't it 5% tax in Virginia or something like that?
You said 5%.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's like per city or.
I don't know. Well, it might.
Like
it definitely might be. No.
Was it higher now?
It's all different because just for example, Chesapeake went up on their real estate tax. So I'm just saying everybody.
The property tax
they tax differently.
Is different
and we're Commonwealth too.
Right.
So that's why you see a lot of folks saying, "I'm moving to the Moyoc or somewhere in North Carolina where it's a different state. Taxes, all that good stuff. No property tax and things of that nature." What was your question? You said you had something.
Where we was answering where the laws were decided on from city to city.
For example, there
because they got like town hall meetings and stuff.
Well,
right?
like for example, Virginia Beach got a bunch of signs around. You might see a sign that says "Vote 10-1" or
what's that?
So what they're doing is it's a voting system. So currently, Virginia Beach has a district system. They have, I believe. Oh Lord, they have 11 members in council. And so what you do is you vote for one at-large position, that's the mayor, and then you vote for your selected council member that represents your district. So say if I live in, you mentioned Cash Green.
Yes.
Cash Green is a council member for District 7. That's only his district. So when I get out and vote, and I live in District 7, I vote for, I have two options for a council member, and then I vote on a mayor. And that's keep now what they're pushing now to say it in it, they're trying to push for modified to 7-3-1. So seven members. So you're basically voting for two people in council and one mayor at large. But it's a lot of folks don't care for it because now you're extending more power to a council, and it's kind of like lightening the load on the mayor who's already at large of all. So they're going to be selecting like 3 at large council members,
top heavy.
Yeah, and it's just and it's mostly coming from wealthier sections of Virginia Beach, and not other sections. So it's
all right. We ain't gonna get too political on y'all. Listen,
go do your research.
Yes,
there you go. I know I'm gonna vote. You gonna vote, cousin? That's personal. I'm sorry.
I should have kept my eye on him with that gold watch.
He said, he's on here to encourage people to vote. He said, So listen, let's wrap this up. This is respect the vote. We definitely want to encourage everybody to get out and vote. Let your voices be heard.
Please,
and then just let them know about early voting. Just give them all the voting information you can. Arrington Gavin.
So as for the state of Virginia, we are currently still in early voting. So early voting started September 19th. It goes on until October 31st. Final day, the grand finale is November 4th. Now in other cities, there's also early voting happening. Now other states are in early voting time. Now they might have different appears. I know like out in New Orleans, they started early voting October 11th. So again, every state is different, but most likely it is currently early voting happening. So again, y'all do your own research by looking up your city government, and then also look up your as I mentioned, if you're not registered to vote for Virginia, it's elections.virginia.gov. Now it might be similar to your state, so elections. Alabama, elections. Florida. But make sure you got to stay involved. I understand that it can be frustrating because you feel like you're seeing a lot of people that are, thinking of themselves and not other people, but you do have folks that do really mean what they say, and that's really trying to make a difference in their community. So get out there and vote. Always know that you have the power, because at the end of the day, these are public servants. Keyword, they're here to serve you. They're not here to serve themselves. They're here to serve you, the people. So we have the power. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm glad you said that. I think that's important for people to understand.
Absolutely.
These people work for you.
They work for you.
Like, they work for you. Like, that's why you're voting, because they work for you and you want them to work for you and to serve in your favor. It ain't no different than a lot of people don't understand the bank works for you. Your money is in the bank. They work.
Absolutely.
They are there to serve you.
That goes for young people. That goes for adults. Look, if you pay taxes, you have to get out and vote. And a lot of another thing too. I know we got to wrap up real quick. But yes. Another thing too is stop trying to run away from politics. Politics, honestly, is in everything. It might not be like what you see on TV, but everything is going to be a form of politics. When you're in your grocery store, when you're in your banks, when you're at your city parks, when you're everywhere, politics is everywhere. Gas prices, politics is everywhere.
Education. You got to send your kids to school.
It's in everywhere. So you can't run away from politics, y'all. But please get out there, vote. Get out there. Like I said, early voting is great. Get out there on the general election. Just make sure you know that your vote is your power, and keep your elected officials accountable. They're gonna be having town halls. Come prepared with your question. You don't have to be nervous. They're not celebrities. Their job is to hear from the people. So that's all I got.
I got one question real quick before we go out of here. What's the big thing about the I think it's called like the mid campaign,
the midterms?
Is that what this is?
So
why is this more important? Because I hear a lot of people say this is one where you really want to go to kind of
because
balance, because they said the House and all that stuff ain't balanced.
Right? That's what he's talking about. Yeah. Break that down, because the House was majority Republican now, right?
So
can this election change that?
It can absolutely change, because
come on, break that down.
So there was a data that went on that I was reading about where Democrats have been winning special elections. Special elections occur when somebody just if somebody passes or if they immediately retire in season. But usually they have special elections most of the time when somebody's just either voted out or someone passed on. But Democrats have been winning a lot of the special elections. Now the Republicans have the majority House and Senate. Again, Congress and Senate has a lot of power, and all they do is back whoever's in office that is on their side of the party. So if during this midterm, if a lot of the votes side on the Democratic side, now that puts up a huge fight for the current sitting president. He's like, God dang, I want to put this up, but it's I need these votes in order to get the approval, and I won't get that if I don't have a majority. So that's why they're saying the midterms is very important, especially since they have seen we're not even finished with the first year of this president, and folks have seen a lot of turmoil. So that's why they're saying, look, this is important. If you are out here protesting and this and that and the other, and you're tired of seeing folks being assaulted. I mean, look, you go to some cities that we used to vacation. Like I'll go to DC so I can see museums. Now you see folks in the military investing and stuff. Like, whoa, where am I?
National Guard.
Yeah. So it's a lot. So yes, midterms is very important, because that just occurs in the middle of someone's presidential term. Yeah.
Yep. All right, man. Listen, this is a special edition of Respect the Goats, Respect the Vote, Respect Your Vote. Y'all go out there and vote, man. Let your voice be heard.
Peace.